Hey there. Welcome to my podcast. I happen to be Mike, your host. I'm a bass player and songwriter from Dayton, Ohio. This week I'm in Austin, Texas for the CD Baby DIY Music Conference. So it's appropriate that on this episode I have an independent musician with me. His name is Brandon Semler, and he happens to live in Austin, which is pretty convenient for him attending this conference. So one thing that's not so cool is when I was recording this podcast, I had some audio problems, and my audio is really garbled. Brandon comes through very clearly, though, so what I'm going to do in this episode is basically voiceover every single time I talk and try to let you to hear more of him. This is going to be an interesting experiment. Stick with me.
Thank you. Yes, it is. It is steamy. It is steamy. We are on the Zoom chat here, so you can see I am definitely sweating. Glad that there is not a video component to this, at least that I'm aware of.
Brandon will now officially introduce himself.
Yeah, my name's Brandon Semler. I'm a music marketing professional down in Austin, Texas, and I am also a musician, an independent musician, and enjoying life. Working on some new things. Just started this business up recently with my wife Jackie, who you have met.
I have met Jackie, and I commented that she is lovely.
She is far more talented than me and far more organized. Really, we don't have to run down the list, but it's like most of the things that are there, she's better at them. And I'm very lucky to have her around.
This is when I asked Brandon how we met and attempted to let him tell the story.
We met. It's so crazy, and I feel like it's like from a movie or something. Yeah, it really is. It's one of those things that gives you the feeling that, something else bigger and more meaningful is going on. Because how else does that kind of coincidence happen in the world, So we were at the CD Baby conference in, I think the last time it was held in person, which was in 2019.
Yes, sir.
And we were in Austin, Texas at, which hotel is that? The Hilton downtown. Yes. So we're in Austin. I live there. You live in Xenia, Ohio.
I grew up in Xenia, but I live in Fairborn now, but it's the same county, Greene County.
Still Greene County, yes. I grew up in Greene County in Yellow Springs, Ohio, and moved to Austin. And we are both very coincidentally both in the music space and both at this conference. Not really having any idea who the other is. Yeah. So we were in a room, and if you can remember parts that I'm missing here, feel free to chime in. But there was something going on in a room where people were kind of gathered around almost in a circle.
Turns out that I remember more details than Brandon, and there is a lot of back and forth here in the original conversation. To shorten that story, there's an ice-breaking room at the conference to get all of us introverted musicians used to talking to each other. And we were around a table that was labeled with Midwest. And we all have name badges that say where we're from. And one of the attendees looks at my name badge and says, "Hey, that guy over there is from Dayton." And I look at Brandon, and his badge says Austin. But it turns out we grew up 10 miles apart.
Yeah. And then, so was it, because I remember, I thought did it sort of happen through a third party, like someone else there? Right. I think it was Midwest, but somehow, and again, you might have a better memory than me. Somehow we both realized we were from like Greene County at this moment. And it was crazy. Yeah, no, I was okay. That you were far better at telling the story. First of all, my memory is absolutely mush. I'll get that right off my chest right here at the beginning. But I do remember just that moment of being like, "Wait, someone from Dayton is here?" And looking over and seeing you, and we struck up a conversation, and it was crazy. Very rarely, I fairly frequently run into people from the Midwest down here because, a lot of transplants, you'll run into someone from Indiana someone from, Illinois, someone, whatever. But the fact that we're at this music conference and I run into this person who lived, or at least who grew up 10 miles away from where I grew up, was wild. It was just wild. And yeah, we've been buds ever since. So you tell me, Mike, what were you able to take away from that first conference?
Well, that ended up actually being my third conference experience. I had been to two others in Nashville, and the conversation kind of meanders, but we get to the point where Brandon and his wife came to Ohio to come back home and visit some family, and while he was here, I managed to convince him to come to the studio with me and play a mandolin on one of my songs, and he was willing to do it, and it was a great experience.
That was a blast. And you know what? It was an honor to be asked by anyone to play mandolin on anything, because suffice to say, don't consider it my best instrument by any stretch. But we got the job done. I was really happy with the way things came out. And I was playing it a lot more then than I am now. Yeah, that was a really cool recording, man. That was really fun to be a part of. It was cool to just kind of take that little detour to Dayton and jump in on that session and then kind of go back about things again. I'm really, thank you for letting me be a part of that. That was a lot of fun. Absolutely. No, it really was. And I mean, Dayton's just there's real magic in Dayton, and even the larger Dayton area. I think there's so much talent there, and such a tight-knit community that you don't always see even in big cities like Austin, where I am now. You guys really get out and support each other. You guys seem to really have each other's backs. And that's something I really respect and appreciate. And part of that's just Midwestern values, right? Yep. Part of that's just, hey, my friends are my friends. I've got their backs. They've got mine. And that's really cool. That's one of my favorite aspects of living up there and just being a part of a community like that.
This is when I asked Brandon to talk about his band, Westerly Station.
I am in a band called Westerly Station. Yes. Oh, it depends on which iteration. No, I put us in probably the power pop and rock and roll space. We can tend to drift into folky territory at times. Like, for example, our first couple singles were far heavier on folk, more mandolin. I was playing more mandolin back then. The EP we released during COVID was almost straight power pop. There's a couple mandolin tracks in there. And the stuff we're working on now is or at least worked on recently, is kind of drifting into almost like modern Americana a bit. So we try to keep it fresh. Hey, my kind of template for a group like Westerly Station is trying to follow the Bible of Chris Collingwood and Adam Schlesinger in terms of how I stay open to different sounds and different styles and don't try to close myself off, you know?
Preach on, brother.
we are both in the Church of the Fountains of Wayne. So we're kind of in a thing about Westerly Station is we kind of come together for periods, work on new music, record it, play some shows, and then we'll have periods where we are kind of more or less dormant. And we're kind of in one of those right now, which is nothing to say like we're going to be stopped forever or anything like that. It's just John's got a different career. Jackie's got a different career. I've got a different career, although Jackie and my careers are starting to meld a little bit. But we do have some new music that we are going to be getting out there here probably sooner rather than later. But yeah, it's been a joy. We're really good friends. We're actually all roommates, funny enough, or housemates, I should say. And it's just been a joy to be a part of that project. And it's really fun to have something to work on with your friends. You know, that's the coolest part about being in a band.
The Westerly Station EP has a logo on it of an armadillo in the shape of a guitar, which is really cool. I mentioned that my favorite song from the EP is called Sarah's Dream, and I'm going to play it for you right now.
It's hard work living in misery, but I think we found it. A subtle turn, but it's growing day by day. And when we get around it, we'll mend as much as we can reach. Look at what we found today. All the joy that we locked away. Didn't find searching high alone. And it's just started taking shape. Look at what we found today. All the lies in the lemonade. Didn't find searching high alone. And it's just started taking shape. Got a limited vision, on a course for collision, you and me. Thought I lost my religion, living out my parents' prophecy. But I think we found it, a new home in what once was empty. And when we get around it, it's all sunlight and open space. Look at what we found today. All the joy that we locked away. Didn't find searching high or low. And it's just started taking shape. Look at what we found today. All the lies in the lemonade. Didn't find searching high or low. And it's just started taking shape. Look at what we found today. Look at what we found today. Look at what we found today. Look at what we found today.
Sarah's Dream. Yeah, I was really, at the time, I kind of stumbled upon that little opening guitar lick, and then the melody just kind of fell in after that. It definitely, I would say, is inspired, like a lot of what I write, by the more kind of 60s garage band sort of sounds and melodies there. But no, the song is really kind of about a sort of finding a new spark in a sort of an older relationship or an older marriage, which is funny because that it's a complete story. It really didn't have much to do with my life because, gosh, at the time I wrote it, I don't think I was even married yet. But yeah, it was really fun to write. I really just, the melody just stuck with me, and Jackie and I worked out the harmonies, and I said, okay, I think this is really something. John actually was really essential in coming up with that melody line, that kind of goes throughout it. And we wrote that little breakdown part that kind of drifts really into, like, I would almost say, sort of almost like a Thin Lizzy, just a really big kind of rock sound. And we recorded it here in town, and we were really happy with how it came out. I'm curious to ask, Mike, what do you like about the song?
I told him I happen to love the bass part, and also the harmonies are fantastic. I might have mentioned specifically that this song was baptized in the waters of Fountains of Wayne.
It's got that kind of like the do 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 do, that sort of R&B sort of feel to it. Thank you. Yeah, that's all I want to hear. It's so funny that so much of my direction in Westerly Station, there's the collaborative aspect where we all try to bring ideas to the table. But so much of the time, especially for that record, I was just like, well, it's like, what would Adam Schlesinger do? And in a way that I think there's still a distinguishing factor there and a lot of originality to it. But I just love I love rock and roll, and I love writing rock and roll songs, and I think that's what that was the thesis of what those guys did too. So it was really that. But yeah, no, the harmonies were fun. I'm really thrilled that you like the bass line. You being a bass player, I am sort of a converted and when I need to bass player. But we cut that live. The bass and drums were cut live. Yeah. We might have punched some stuff, but it was mostly we really wanted to capture like an energetic rhythm section on that record. So John and I, for that one and for Troubled Times, John and I I think we did a scratch track initially which was probably me just doing vocal and guitar, and then John and I went in and cut we rehearsed it the week before and then went in and cut the bass and drums at the same time. Sure, there's no right or wrong way to do it, and in fact, I'm working really hard on a solo project right now that is more or less that. Although now that I'm thinking about it, I did record that the bass and drums live on it, but it is way more dispersed, like recording separate parts at different times, and there's no whatever really gets the job done either. For the product you're looking for or out of necessity, whatever you need to do to get it done. I don't think there's any right or wrong path to recording. It's really what's best for the artist. Absolutely. And there was a line that I can't remember exactly what it was, but this was probably 10 years ago or so, but someone was interviewing Flea about the latest Red Hot Chili Peppers record. And he said something about how, well, we still make it like a priority to record live because there's just energies you can capture there that kind of come out of the ether, that come out of that bond with each other and that, that shared intensity sort of. And that always stuck with me. So I always try to keep some elements of the records I'm working on live, even if it's just the rhythm section, just to see if we can't tap into a little of that a little bit of electricity you can try to generate,
Yeah. This is one I asked Brandon, what was the first song that he can remember ever hearing?
Oh, that's a great question.
Well, thank you.
The first song I remember hearing was Jailhouse Rock by Elvis Presley.
Elaborate.
Yeah. Is that what we're supposed to do here? I thought I just gave one word answer. So it's really kind of a cool story. So my dad back in the was in a, let's see, this would have been actually started in the 70s when he was in high school, was in a 50s cover band called the Hoppers. This is a band that still plays around in Yellow Springs, in the greater Yellow Springs area. This is a 50s, 60s cover band, but this would have been in the mid 70s. They performed basically for fun. I think it was at their school talent show or whatever, but it was during the 70s when that kind of American graffiti, Grease 50s throwback wave was going through. And they did that. And then at their 10-year reunion, they did it again. And then they kept it up and they played throughout the 80s with that. And then they all started having kids like me in the early 90s and kind of took a break there. I saw my dad singing Jailhouse Rock on a videotape of that 10-year reunion. That's the first song I ever remember hearing.
Wow.
Yeah, kind of a weird story, huh? But it's of course it's like my dad, so of course being young, it's like this is like
he's your hero when you're young.
Yeah, and Andy's wearing sunglasses and looks super cool and is singing with this cool baritone that I would come to learn was borrowed from Elvis Presley, but it really stuck with me, and just the energy of it. I know it's old school rock and roll, and I still am a huge fan of that kind of stuff. And funny enough, in high school, that 50s, 60s band got back together, and guess who was in it? I was. I'd say that was the teeth cutting period because I was just running around. I formed a power trio as well with two of the members of that band that played out a lot too, and a lot of kind of college for me was running around playing in these different cover bands and just getting experience, live experience, learning more about playing guitar and being a live musician. and all that. So, and then I played with them for about 10 years until I moved to Austin, really. And they're still going strong. So the last time I actually played with that band, the Hoppers, was at the Clifton Music and Arts Festival, which happens, I think, every August there in Clifton, in like 2019. And because when I come back, if the dates line up, I always sit in with them and whatnot. But I think it was like the biggest crowd I've played to in like 10 plus years with my dad's old fashioned cover band at this thing. Cause I think people in the area have just been going out and seeing them for a long time now and just love doing it. And it's a really cool thing they've got going on.
Was Breakfast at Clifton Mill part of this adventure?
I don't think so. I don't. Yeah, I don't remember. The last time, when was the last time I've had? It's amazing. I love Breakfast at Clifton Mill. You're referring to just vaguely Breakfast at Clifton Mill, not an event called Breakfast at Clifton Mill, right?
The general concept of eating the first meal of the day in the restaurant next to the mill.
I love it. Yes, that is quite a nice and serene time at Clifton Mill for sure. So anyway, back to the first song question. I mean, the stuff my dad listened to, 50s, 60s music, there was a lot of that happening for me early in my life when we were just driving around. That was oldies radio back then. When I was a few years old, oldies radio was 50s, 60s, and now it's Stone Temple Pilots and Alice in Chains. But yeah, so I think those melodies really captivated me, and I think I sort of thought melody first from then on. Just that was the thing that really grabbed me about those songs early on.
What are you doing this weekend?
This weekend, I am going to the CD Baby DIY musician conference.
Yeah, convenient.
Yeah.
It's in the place where you live.
It is really convenient. It's going to be a lot less convenient when it's not anymore. But hey, we've stretched it out over a 4-year period now, right? With the last two being, I think, remote. They did remote only versions, didn't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not the same as being in person.
I would agree. And I think there's a remote capability for this.
There
one
is.
Too.
It's both, I believe.
Yeah. It's a great conference. We met so many cool people there last time. In fact, some friends of ours. You met the fine folks at 3 at Home, I believe.
I believe I did. I don't I'll have to go through my business cards.
Okay.
The face is not coming to me.
Gotcha. Yeah. They're doing a little tour on the way there from Massachusetts right now. It's kind of cool though. At least a few of the people we met there last time are going to be back, including yourself and them. But it's just such a cool opportunity to meet new people, to hear from new voices, and just also new educational tools. All of this is available in this space, and a chance to interact with everyone in person, which is such a sort of a rare thing these days, with everything being online for the most part.
I was going to ask you why you were going, but you already answered, and so I don't have to ask you.
Yeah, and I'm wearing a few hats there this time, because I've got the obviously I've done the Westerly stuff, even though we're just on a little break now. That always sounds ominous, but it literally just means we're not writing and stuff right now. But I've got a new solo project I'm working on, so I am going to be gathering as much knowledge as I can as I start to put that marketing plan together. And then Jackie and I have just started a business, so we want to be speaking with every other person in the industry and learning as much as absolutely possible, so we can bring the most value to the artists we work with as possible.
Well, let's tackle those independently. Let's first start with your solo project. Do you have a name for it yet?
Yeah. No, I'll share it. This is the debut. I've never spoken this in public.
Wow, I like having things broken on the podcast.
Yeah, it's breaking here. It's called Cackleberry Jones.
Like the guy from Police Academy?
I sure hope not.
Tackleberry Jones?
Yeah, cackle with a C.
Ah, like laughing. Okay.
Yeah. Cackleberry Jones.
So
This
like
was
Crackety Jones, but Crackleberry instead of Crackety.
Yeah, and it's cackle like you're laughing.
Yeah,
Cackleberry
I like
Jones.
it.
And it's funny. It came to me, and I just like in the height of COVID. Well, I don't know what the height was. Who does? But this would have been like summer of 2020 when things just felt so crazy, and it was getting to the point like where like, oh, this might not end soon, and also you had this kind of just these rampant. I mean, just a lot of unrest and a lot of well, I'm sure you remember it. It just almost felt like getting hammered with a sledgehammer every day, waking up,
Yeah,
scrolling your phone.
I mean, the world has pretty much been a dumpster fire for a while, but that was the very dumpster fireest part of the dumpster fire.
Right, exactly. And so I ended up just going very inward and writing this very like psychedelic sort of concept record. It's sort of about how you lose empathy in life and can really isolate yourself trying to carve your own path, and then kind of question where you ended up. And I don't claim that this is the first time anyone in the rock and roll space has attempted such a feat, but it felt really real. It felt very, very different from anything I had done to that point. And I was like, what's the name of this thing? And it was like a word associated. I mean, like pure stream of consciousness, like Huckleberry Jones. That's what it's called. And so I've been working on developing it. I've made basically 2 EPs already. That are one needs to be mixed. One is fully done. And I'm just starting to get the ball rolling with that and trying to make it different and, just, I'm in a band. I have a group where I try to kind of do things like a normal band. This is something where I want to try to go left as often as possible. So we'll see what turns up of it, but I'm working hard on putting that marketing plan together probably for next year. And we'll see what happens from there.
So you finished the fun stuff. You've done the writing and recording. The marketing plan is the not fun stuff.
I have the controversial opinion that I think
really?
the marketing stuff can be fun. You just have to make it part of your art. You have to make it an extension of the art. Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
That sounds like a good segue to your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and last thing on Cackleberry, though, I'm putting together visual assets. I'm really trying to be diligent about building something that connects in kind of multiple ways online if I can. But yeah, and sort of the business about that too, though. Basically, what we are is a digital marketing company for small independent artists who are looking to build their following online. And the beautiful thing about living right now is that you can build your following from anywhere. I mean, like you can be in the remotest part of Arizona and you can build a following without stepping outside of your door, but it does take strategy, and it takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy and patience, but you can do it, and it's basically helping artists to build out their own funnel, realize what kind of content they can implement that's natural and actually part of their artistic brand. We want them to be doing stuff they're excited to do. We don't, like, for example, you Mike, like I know you love baseball.
I do.
If we're talking to you about this stuff, I want you talking about the things you're interested in, because what we've seen is there's often a whole lot of positive correlation with what your fans are interested in and what you're interested in. So putting together content that you're excited to make, that you feel like is an extension of your brand, and then building a fan base and building out a funnel to make those fans even bigger fans, and to make offers to them and to make them advocates, over a period of time. That's basically what it's about. But it is very digitally focused, because we just know, especially with COVID and everything, we've learned, being around people is kind of, we used to take it for granted, but you just don't know anymore, sadly. But I think that was one thing that really inspired us to kind of help people to take the reins and start to build this stuff out themselves.
So that sounds like the kind of thing where, maybe next year you might be a presenter at this particular conference.
Oh, we would be beyond honored. And in fact, so many of the people who have spoken there have inspired us. We've learned so much from all of them. I mean, that'd be incredible. We'll see where we're at. We just put in the work a day at a time and see what happens.
The reason I know that's a thing is because there are two musicians that I have met at this conference. One in 2017 in Nashville, and one in 2019 in Austin. Two very talented ladies who I met at the conference, and they both have sessions this year on the conference where they're presenting. So,
That's
awesome. I'm sure they're going to attend and listen and learn stuff, but they're part of the education. So I know that it's doable.
Oh, sure.
I would love to see you up on that stage.
I would too. That'd be an honor. Love going to the conference every year, and we're happy to be there learning too. And even when you're running a business, and even when you are the speaker, there's still so much to learn from everyone else, the other speakers and the people who are there. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is get people to make careers out of their music, and those are the people to learn from. What are you struggling with? What is the hardest thing about marketing your music right now? What is the thing that's getting in your way the most? That's the kind of stuff you can learn, and that really helps at anything, because you can help them find those answers.
So assuming everything goes according to plan, we're having this conversation on Sunday. Is it still Sunday? Yeah, Sunday, August 21st. It is still Sunday. Sometimes the day is I just lose track. All right, we're having this conversation on the evening of Sunday, August 21st. I plan for this conversation, for this podcast episode to go up on Friday, August 26th, which is the first morning of the 3-day conference. So I'm going to talk specifically to anyone from the conference that might have decided to listen to this, whether you're listening over the weekend as you were in Austin, or whether you were listening as you've gone home. First of all, thank you for listening to this episode. I'm assuming that either I told you about it in a face-to-face conversation, or Brandon told you about it in a face-to-face conversation, because we are interested in, right? Both of us want to help artists in our own way. Both of us want to learn in our own way. And I think we share the goal that we would like someone to someday just give us a paycheck in exchange for writing music. That would be nice. And if you're going to this conference, or if you just attended this conference, you probably would also like to someday be handed a paycheck in exchange for writing songs or performing songs. And I know a lot of people in your life, dear listener, who is an independent musician, might not understand that. They might think that you want to be famous or that you want to be rich, and you might not want to be, right? You love music, or else you wouldn't be doing this. You love music, or else you wouldn't be at this conference. And you would like this to be your way to make a living, putting aside thoughts of fame or whatever. You're sick of the perhaps evil, stressful corporate job, and you want to get paid doing what you love. And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. And in fact, it's actually possible to do that today. The beautiful thing, look, there's so many drawbacks to the world being increasingly online, but one of the beautiful things about it is your potential market is now global. So if you can implement the right kind of strategies up top and find your fan base, you don't have to be famous. You just need enough of your fans who are committed to you, and you need to build that relationship over time to the point where they are advocating you to others, taking up your offers, wanting to buy your merch, wanting to support you in any way they can, subscribe to your Patreon. You don't need an incredible number of loyal fans to make a living, but you just got to build those relationships over time. And that's what we try to do at Missing Amelia, or at least get people in the process of doing that.
Yeah. So where can a musician go find information on your business at the moment? Let's say they're home from the conference, they're reviewing their notes, they're listening to this podcast right now. Where do we send them, Brandon?
Missingamelia.com is a great place to start. And in fact, you can fill out a form it's all on one page there, saying who you are, what's going on. We'd love to talk to you. And my Instagram, for the purposes of Missing Amelia, is Brandon Semler Music is the handle. That's a good place too. We try to post reels almost daily with we're just giving out free education. We just want to help people get to where they're going. So that'd probably be the best place to reach us right now.
Cool. You can find those links in the show notes. And if perchance you're listening to this on Friday or Saturday of the conference, look around for us, for me and Brandon on Saturday and Sunday. I'm 6'3" and I'm very large, and I'm a black man with green eyes, which is something you don't see every day. Well, it'll be green eyes if I wear the right color shirt, but I'm tall and I look old, so I'll be easy to find. Brandon is a handsome young man with a beard. Yeah, try to find
and
us.
More in the 6 feet range, also large.
Yeah, we are. You can tell that
more handsome.
You can tell that we like to eat.
You can. No question in that.
But yeah, we'll talk to you. That's we're not. I mean, he lives in Austin anyway, but he had to take the time and energy and money to actually buy a ticket to the conference. I am flying to Austin. I don't live there, but we're there for a reason. We want to be educated, and it's part of the business, right? As an independent musician. As much as we sometimes hate to think of it this way, we are all small business owners, and this is part of the work. So we're going to be there to do the work.
Absolutely. And one of the things we try to say as well is just time to drop the starving artist mentality, start and pick up the creative entrepreneur mentality. And, we are building a business. The business is our music and basically us as a brand. But that's what we're trying to build over time, and we're super optimistic about what people can do. It takes a process, it takes a strategy, and just educating yourself on your market and how to execute.
That is a fantastic pitch. I really do feel like you're going to be presenting on this someday.
Well, it's also, and the thing about the pitch too is it's like you can work with us, but you can also not. Like there are so many places you can get the education. Look at a site like Indepreneur. They've presented at this thing. They inspire us to no end. And I mean, that course I think is $40 some a month, something like that. Or it's not just a course, that's access to all of their courses, which teaches you everything. So I mean, we're really just about getting these people the knowledge. If they do want to work with us, great, but there are so many other places to get the knowledge as well.
All right, so the pitch session of our conversation is ended. Now I have the other question I like to ask everyone, but this one I didn't come up with. I stole this from a defunct podcast here in Dayton called the Gem City Podcast.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, they're no longer a thing. Shout out to Terry and Libby. I love you guys. But Terry, Izzy Rock Martin on the music episodes used to always ask this. And now that he doesn't have that podcast anymore, I feel like I need to ask this question for him. So that question is, Brandon, what did your childhood smell like?
I'm going to say grassy baseball pants.
That sounds like a Guided by Voices album name.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm thinking about it, I just remember being in, what is my childhood? I'm in a baseball uniform. I've got pants with that are more grass stained than pants at that point. And that's what it smells like to me.
What position did you play?
First base. I'm a left-hander, so I had one of 5 options, or I had to choose one of 5 options.
I am also a left-hander.
Hey, southpaws.
And terribly slow. So I actually really only had 2 options. Like you don't want me in the outfield.
Right. That was mostly me too. Yeah. No, and I just love first. I love the challenge of having to, dig them out of the dirt, try to master the one hopper. I love first base. Sean Casey was my favorite baseball player growing up.
He always seemed like a decent fella.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too. I'm watching going, oh, here's a big guy. He plays baseball. He hits the ball well. He plays first base. That looks like something to aspire to be.
Who's your favorite baseball player now?
It's got to be Joey Votto. First baseman, Reds first baseman.
He also seems like a decent fellow, and sadly, he's done for the year.
I know the rotator cuff was a problem,
and he ain't getting no younger. I don't know how many more years he has left. He's been getting beat on fastballs a lot more than he did the rest of his career.
He has, and you wonder because he had a fairly decent season last year. He was homering a lot, at least. You have to wonder if the injury played a part. You can never say definitively what's wear and tear and what's good old father time. But yeah, it is too bad that he's struggled a little more recently. But the dude's just like, talk about a beacon of light in an otherwise dark situation for Cincinnati. I mean, that baseball team has basically been him for 10 years now.
Yeah, absolutely Hall of Famer, right?
Oh yeah, he's got to be. I mean, I think even if he finishes with stats that could have been better if he retired 2 years ago, I think his impact on the game, especially when it comes to how well he performed in the more advanced analytical fields.
Yeah. Elite on-base skills, Joey Votto. And actually, that's the skill set that takes the longest to go, right? As long as you can still see, you should be able to get your walks, right? Even if the fastball beats you sometimes.
Absolutely. And he was still, even through last year, able to make people pay. I mean, any miss whatsoever and was going out of the park or into the gap. But so yeah, and I love Votto. I've loved him ever since he started with the team, and I'd have to say he's my at least my favorite current player. How about you?
My favorite career growing up was Tom Glavine, lefty pitcher.
Oh, nice.
And I always just loved the cat and mouse game of how do you set up a hitter? What do you given the stuff that you have, what do you do to get them out? Some hitters like dudes like Tony Gwynn, it was hard to get that guy out. He never struck impossible out. So you knew he was making contact. But yeah, I always enjoy that part of the game. I still enjoy that part of the game. But pitchers are so much more athletic and strong, and nutrition and sports science has come so far that, obviously the three true outcomes is the way baseball is today, which I get, because if you're a pitcher, you really don't want them to put it in play because some of those are going to fall.
Okay, I have a political baseball question for you.
Shoot, it's probably not political. It's probably just a baseball question, but go ahead.
I know. I say political if anything has multiple arguments. I don't know why. It's not the definition of the word. Banning the shift.
Nonsense.
Keep the shift. Okay.
They shifted Ted Williams.
No, I get it. And it's funny.
They just weren't smart enough to do it to everyone else.
Right. No, I get it completely. It's like the question for me comes down to this fundamental thing of, do I want players to need to suck it up and just learn how to bunt to the left side, or do I want a better product?
So
because
I don't think that banning the shift makes a better product. In fact, I hate that people call it the shift. It's just a manner of arranging your fielders.
It's true.
The hit chart data says this is where the balls get hit, so that's where you put your people. It ain't rocket science. You know what I saw yesterday? I didn't watch a lot of the games yesterday, but I flipped on the Braves game briefly. And no, it wasn't the Braves game. I take that back. Who was it? I don't remember who it was, but there was a hitter that they put the three infielders on the right side, a lefty. He dropped a bunt to third base and basically walked to first. And that gave the team runners on first and second. Now, I'm going to get super nerdy. I'm sure you're aware there's a field of mathematics called game theory, right?
Yeah.
And this plays into baseball. So, like, game theory says that there's going to be a point where if you keep taking that free base, guess what's going to happen to the infielders? They're going to stop moving around for you, and then you can swing away how you want. And I think if more hitters, if they're going to give you first base, you take first base, right?
Well, yeah, I would agree. Would you say, though, maybe more of the problem is actually in the training and development of these players and the prioritization of the launch angle?
Yes. And
all power.
Look, I get
and
it.
That being
there are some players
in contracts.
There are some players you don't want to bunt. Right. If I've got Freddie Freeman, I'm going to tell Freddie Freeman, go ahead. Well, Freddie, first of all, he sprays the ball to all fields. He does hit a lot of line drives to short right, a second baseman gobble up. But he also hits a lot of line drives into the left field gap, right? So he's probably not a good example. What's the a dead pull lefty hitter that just mashes the ball. Who's
of course, now I'm drawing
not,
blanks.
Who's not Freddie Freeman? Well, even a righty, like some of those guys, you don't want to tell them to bunt, right? Because you'll take the increase and chances they're going to get a line drive out with some of those line drives are going to go over the fence.
Sure.
And all things being equal, you kind of want the chance for the ball to go over the fence. But for people that don't have that kind of power, and especially if the league keeps fiddling with the baseballs and humidors, and if the home run environment gets depressed, then I think that you teach your offense to take the base that they're going to give it to you. Right?
Yeah.
The name absolutely. Of the game is not making outs.
No.
So
right.
Whatever you can do to not make an out, that's fine. And if that's a walk, that is just as good as a single, which is just as good as dropping a bunt, if other than sacrifices. And really, now that there's no more pitchers hitting, there's no reason to ever sacrifice, except for maybe in the extra innings when you got your runner on second and you're like, if you're the home team and you're trying to end it, right? But
absolutely. Mike, I just want to say we need to talk more often because there are so few baseball fans in my life. we're gonna need to text more about this stuff.
I feel like we could do an entire podcast just about base. I am a baseball. I'm a complete nerd. A complete baseball nerd.
I would do it. Yeah, I would love that. I would, and you might be more of a nerd than I am, but I find just baseball fans are just falling off the face of the earth.
It's a crying shame. My dad got me into the game, and I love the game. And from also a historical nerd, people that look like me fought for so long to be able to play this game at the highest level. It's just kind of a shame that more young black kids don't like the game. It's a great game. Yeah, it takes a lot of skill and speed and power and athletic ability and hand-eye coordination, and it's just really a shame that more kids aren't into it. And as much as I love to watch it on TV, man, you cannot beat a day at the ballpark in person.
No,
and really I love watching it on TV, but man, it's so great in person.
Baseball is that's what I tell people. It's like baseball is one of the few sports that it doesn't matter who's playing. If you're there, it's poetry, it's just, and that's the coolest part of the game too. I think is it when people say baseball is boring, I say, no, it's not. You just have to watch. You just have to invest. And
you can't be on your phone at a baseball. First of all, it's a good way to get yourself hit in the head by a line drive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But there's a real flow to it. There's a real art to it. And then you gradually build into what I think are the most exciting situations in sports, where you've got two runners on bottom of the eighth in the postseason or whatever. And your heart is just beating out of its chest, Yeah. It's crazy. I know we've probably got to wrap soon, but I gotta nerd out on fountains with you a little bit too.
Let's do that.
Maybe we need to start a podcast that is just baseball and fountains of Wayne.
I tell you what. Here's first of all, I need to have you back for more than one reason. But I do have the idea, and I've already started this. I have an idea for a series on my podcast where we break down each Fountains of Wayne record.
And my God, can I please be on that? Yes.
Well, I've already done the first
some of it.
I've already done the first record. I need someone to help break down Utopia Parkway with me. Would you be?
That's among my favorite records.
All right, so
yes, absolutely.
After we're done here, we'll schedule that, and then the next time I have you on, it'll be like an hour on Utopia Parkway.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, that's got to appeal to a very specific niche audience, but
absolutely. What is your favorite record of theirs?
First one.
It's so good. It's such part of
it is where I was in my life when I heard it.
Sure.
A part of it is if you write songs and you want to learn, for instance, if you don't know how to write a bridge, go just learn that record.
Oh my gosh, I've told Jack. That's so funny. I'm sorry. I did not mean.
Go ahead. Go.
Really excited. Got really excited. I was just like, they are the kings of the bridge.
They're perfect.
1,000 batting average. There's never a bad bridge in any of those songs.
I don't. In fact, I played Porch Fest yesterday, Porch Fest Dayton, and covered Barbara H as part of my set, which was kind of fun. Such a great song.
Yeah.
There's not a bad song on that record. They're all great. The record is 12 songs and it comes in at like barely 30 minutes. It's if you want to learn how to write songs and you don't know how, go listen to that record 1,000 times to tell you how to write songs.
I agree completely. It's funny. I'd say my favorite is totally on the Utopia Parkway's up there for me, but I think Sky Full of Holes is my favorite of theirs.
Oh,
that
bless
record
you.
Just
Bless you for not saying the one that everyone says.
Welcome Interstate Managers.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Great record, but
Great record.
not my favorite.
Also not my favorite.
It's great. It's great. Top to like almost bottom. I feel like there's a couple B-sides snuck in there at the end.
Like Stacy's Mom.
Oh, burn.
I feel like the label told them to put that on there.
Definitely. I feel like when it comes on the radio, I'm always like, I mean, I get it. Like, I get it. It's just the catchiest song.
It's a
ever.
pop radio song. It is.
And it's a car song.
Yes.
Basically. But yeah, it's so, and that record's really good too. But Sky Full of Holes to me, just, I feel like you can hear the sadness that was in the band.
Well, they were on the verge of breaking up, right?
I know.
They were done with the relationship, but they were actually both invested by then, because that one record that Collingwood basically took off, the previous one.
Right.
So it was like the last creative gasp of their friendship and collaboration.
I know, and I just think songs like Dip in the Ocean and I don't know, to me that's just like, is there a better pop rock just structure than this on that record, just with the acoustic backing and like
so many of those songs feel like callbacks to their other albums, right? Dip in the Ocean would fit right in on like 3 of the older albums. Richie and Rubin,
Sure.
weird though it is a classic vintage, let's tell a story about some weird people, Fountains of Wayne song.
Absolutely. No, I love Richie and Rubin. Summer Place, really just good Fountains of Wayne song. It's not like they're doing anything insanely different on it. I think I'm also really partial to the production, and I don't even know who produced on that record.
I feel like it was self-produced, but I'm going to Google that right now.
It might have been. The sound on that record, I think, is incredible. The harmony balance, and I love that Collingwood seems like he's starting to get into his Look Park bag 100% with Someone's Gonna Break Your Heart. That's just sounds like a Look Park song.
It does.
Yeah.
I can't see where it says. I'm going to have to actually go dig out the CD. Wiki's not telling me who produced it. I have the actual compact disc somewhere, but it might take me forever to actually find it.
Sure. Well, don't worry about it. We can talk about it on a later pod.
I mean, we'll get to that, as I go through the albums in order. We will get to that someday. Well, see, since that's your favorite, you're already reserved for that episode, whenever that is.
Oh, well, thank you. I get to be a repeat on this.
Yeah.
My thing about Fountains of Wayne, I just like, it blows my mind that they're not a slightly bigger deal than they are.
It's
like
insane. And wonderful and entertaining Twitter follow, Max from Eve 6. He calls them the greatest American rock band.
Absolutely. And I kind of agree. I mean, like, I don't know. It's all, I really do. People would like laugh at this so hard, but it's just like, well, like in the 60s, you had the Beatles, and then in the 90s, you had Fountains of Wayne. It's just like just that tradition of that kind of rock and roll, and I just feel like they carried it pretty effortlessly. But it's just I think anyone who sits down and listens to their records is like, whoa, like this isn't just the Stacy's Mom band. These guys are like,
also their B-sides, some of them are really stinking good.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Yeah, this is definitely something we're going to have to talk about. This conversation went a lot of places I didn't expect. And that's why podcasts are fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You could probably cut out the last 20 minutes there, and your listeners would they're going to have to listen to conversations about sabermetrics and Fountains of Wayne. But oh, well.
Hey, we are being our true selves, Brandon.
We are. We absolutely are. For sure. Well, Mike, thanks. This has been such a blast.
Yeah, and where do I send people to find you if it is not Missing Amelia? How about give me the Westerly Station links and all that good stuff too?
Oh yeah, Westerly Station is just at Westerly Station on Instagram, westerlystation.com, that's pretty much it. We're just we're looking at. We did a single recently, and we're kind of figuring out when we want to start working up to a release there, but kind of on vacation in Westerly Town right now.
It's all good. So, hey, thanks for the time. I will see you Friday, or if you're listening to this, it is Friday since I'm putting this out. Hey, it was nice to see you today, Brandon. We're going to assume that we've already spoken.
Absolutely. I love it.
Excellent. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. Take care, Mike.
Thank you once again to Brandon Semler for joining me and spending some time with me. Thank you, dear listener, for listening, especially putting up with the first half of this episode when I was obviously having some microphone problems. I really appreciate it. Hey, I'm going to take you out with something a little different today other than just this outro music. Yeah, a special treat for all of you right here on the You Could Be My Aramis podcast. We had mentioned earlier that Brandon had played mandolin on one of my songs. I'm going to play you that song. It is not available anywhere other than my website and my Bandcamp page. It is not available on any streaming services. You cannot find it on iTunes or Spotify or Amazon or Tidal or any of that stuff. If you would like to listen to it, my website or my Bandcamp page, it's on a split CD I did with the Paint Splats. You can buy those CDs both on my website or on my Bandcamp page. Brandon did a very nice job with the mandolin. I think it sounds great, and it was such a treat to have him in to play this song with me. I hope, dear listener, that you enjoy it, and I hope that you have a nice weekend. This is called Sunday That Pill.
I'll give you back the gun if you give me that pill. Quiet all that buzzing in my head. Thoughts are rolling by like credits on a film. Guess I'll feel more rested when I'm dead. Bury all the trembles and the shaking and the hyperventilation. So give me that pill. Chase it with some vodka when I put you in my well. All quiet now in no man's land, so run me up that hill. I'll give you back the gun if you give me that pill. That pill. So you think it makes me want to cry? Music sets the mood, but my broken heart is numb. Guess someone will fix it when I die. Put fire to what's left of me and feed my ashes to the trees. So give me that pill. Chase it with some vodka when I put you in my will. All quiet now in no man's land, so run me up that hill. I'll give you back the gun if you give me that pill. That pill. Heart racing through hairpins and needles. Chest tight, chest tight. Sweating bullets and feeling so feeble. Alright.